this should be seen in every high school, and more than just once, because there needs to be a constant reminder. You know, there's a lot of strong young men and women out in high school that have a lot of adversity. They can overcome it initially, but it's hard to continue to climb. And that will have to fall on teachers and coaches, because it's hard, because there's always going to be distractions and people pulling at you. Somebody just told me it's hard to make the right choices when the easy ones will leave you weak. So there's always got to be people there to tell you that the hard choices are the ones that you have to make, and to remind you of that. And this should be seen by junior high school and high school students. This is a story of Marc Megna. Had an opportunity to go in all kinds of different directions and make choices that were going to be poor. And for some reason, his high school counselor, tell me who that is.
Oh, Mr. Fritz? Is that
Fitzgerald, yeah. So now you have, in high school, you've got all these different avenues to go, and people pulling you, and drinking and drugs, and school's not important, and you know, whatever. And then you got Mr. Fitzgerald, Bogans, but more importantly, his mother, keeping him in the right direction. So all the excuses that young people have today to fail, Marc didn't buy into that. He stayed strong. But he stayed strong because he did have some strong people, especially at home, keeping him in line with what he said his goals and objectives were. So that's why this should be seen by young people. So, you know, Marc going into a school will fire everybody up for a while. But there needs to be a constant reminder of what his words were and how his life was, and where it went, how it got there, and where it is now. It's an American success story. And without the structured family that everybody, you know, desires to have, a strong dad, a strong mom, you know, well, there was no dad, but there was a strong mom. And there was a lot of love there, sometimes tough love, but there was a lot of love and appreciation. And that's why this story needs to be told. It's one of the many, many stories. So, you know, that turned out well, so that you can say, well, yes, son, and, you know, yeah, you did struggle with something, but look how this person turned out. And it might not be bad for mothers and fathers to see this as well, and how what Marc's mother went through, and she could have gone in a lot of different directions. It could have been selfish. Instead, was selfish with her children to make sure that they ended up to be what they are and what Marc has become. And so there's a lot of factors there. And there's a lot of failings today and there's a lot of people that should watch this and gain some lessons maybe from it.
So how did it make you feel?
Well, let's just say this. So then now, I want to make sure that we draw this. This is maybe the most important thing, other than the academic achievement that Marc had. So Marc comes out of high school. They'll, you know, Bobby Bogan said that Nick Salmon, you know, they said, well, he runs a 4.8, he didn't run a 4.8. You could tell that on film. So let's go back, depending upon how many clips you use here. Let's go back to the beginning. This guy was a 5'0", at best ran a 5'1". He was 6 foot. He was 32 pounds. So what Marc ends up is, I believe, 6'1 3/4, 252, 4'7". Pretty good. Did he get there like all at once? No. 1/3 of 1/3 of 1/3% better every day. Got him. He grew naturally, obviously, from a little over 6 feet to whatever he was, 6'1 3/4, 6'2", 230, 232. I think he actually bulked up to like 270 at one point, but he's 250-ish, all right, at a 4'7" rather than a 5'1". And he got there gradually. He became an All-American. He was drafted by the Jets, played in the National Football League for 3 years, then played in the Canadian League, I think, for 5 or 6 years, but was the premier guy of Montreal and, whatever. But never lost his self-discipline and his expectations of himself and his lifestyle of honor and integrity and clean living. 99% of people cannot do that today. But if he can influence some people to do it, like I hope he was influenced by us and his family, then we're on the right track.